Hey, Marie, did you see this article the other day?
Of course I saw it. Who didn't see it?
It's like the article that ate my weekend.
Yes, the article where we all went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. I know we're going to unpack a little bit more about it. I think, HouseFresh, I guess I really hope they're watching.
We can email them so that they can watch. So I think everyone knows that HouseFresh went viral last week very rapidly with their article, How Google is Killing Independent Sites Like Ours. I know there is a ton of us out there that have watched their revenue dwindle as Google lets other sites float to the top with all of their various updates. But in particular, what was really interesting about this article is they tied in the helpful content to this site. So before we dive into the article and what everything was about, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Marie Isais. I run an SEO agency, and for the last maybe 3.5 years, I've worked on bringing sites back that have been hit with the various Google updates. So I've followed the updates rather closely, and I also have a ton of sites that I'm always monitoring and tracking so that I'm able to see when sites go down with the update or when sites stay up, and then bring data from that.
I'm Carolyn Holzman. For those that don't know, I run the ongoing research project on indexation, and it's kind of tied into some of the updates and how they present first. And primarily, I do consulting, and my interest is in forensic SEO. It's kind of like, why is something the way it is and what's driving it? And then, of course, usually the information is designed to come up with how do we fix that? Again, that's also kind of like how our work dovetails, Marie, a little bit.
Our data has been combined so that we are able to really put our ears to the ground to Google, so to speak, so that we know what's going on in the SERPs, if it's changing, not changing. So we have a little bit of a different perspective than just the typical SEO.
Obviously, reading the article pulled at my heart in terms of, these are people who are very much care about what they're doing, right?
They do. They put a lot of time and effort, not only into their site, but also their reviews. They are losing a lot of revenue with all of the recent Google updates.
So, and again, this came from their article, which also I thought was they broke down and were very clear with what bothered them about this.
Yes.
And so they specifically mentioned things like helpful content updates. And I noticed this, by the way, if anyone's not familiar, this is SEMrush. This is a great kind of composite overview. Obviously, SEMrush isn't hooked into their site where these numbers are not going to be precise, but it gives you sort of the arc of how, based on where they are in search and the volume for that search, what one might expect in terms of traffic and keyword coverage and things like that. Starting here in September, and then when you slide into October, you really see a drop.
That is a cliff. That is a cliff down that no site owner wants to see. I've seen a million of these, and that is definitely the cliff to hell.
Right. And I figured that was like 47% of their traffic.
So almost 50% of their traffic was lost in the month of September.
Yeah, I can imagine it was pretty fun in that office. And then just looking at the organic keywords between September and October, and I'm looking at the total, right?
Yes.
I'm not breaking down by all the things. And so that was close to about a third of the number of keywords.
So they've lost a third of their keywords in organic search.
Yeah, I'm sure if instead of the things going down, I think if they went up that much, they'd be pretty excited about it. But
they would.
And then, obviously they were, upset about who they lost out to.
What they're seeing is their positions being taken over by really big brands, like huge news sites.
BuzzFeed,
Rolling Stone, Better Homes and Gardens, New York Times, you name it, they're losing their top spots.
Popular Science, I remember that one.
All of the really big authoritative sites that have taken over a lot of the top positions that they were depending on. All right, so we showed you guys that yes, big brands are taking over their spots. We showed how much traffic they lost, how many keywords they've lost in search, and we agree that the big brands are taking over those spots and that they are subpar reviews. They are not great reviews. They don't have stringent testing facilities. They're probably not even trying out the products. They don't mention it. They're talking about recalled products. They're talking about products they know nothing about. These truly are reviews we cannot trust as the end buyer.
I also know, like, if I'm ever looking for this website is where I'm going to go, looking into what they're doing. So I do think that their take on this is accurate.
HouseFresh is has taken what Google has said to do and put it on their site, but yet they're not in the top spots of the SERPs.
And I think that is a good point, because the belief is if you do everything that Google recommends to do, that the natural end result is going to be your content will rank because it will fulfill this criteria.
Yes. And it might also be a common thought process that those big media sites follow the same rules as niche or independent sites. News sites or highly authoritative sites are not held to the same standards. So what they can do and get away with, HouseFresh cannot do and get away with it in the same way.
You know, I think large sites or enterprise sites in general, whether they're news sites or not, you know, they do certainly, all things being equal and people just pushing out something, it's very easy to look at that and go, how are we going to compete, right? It seems unfair that a big site like that just out of the gate has that advantage.
Nothing in this world was ever fair. It's kind of how I grew up. And so looking at all of that, I can fully understand why HouseFresh and other site owners are as upset as they are. So we agree with HouseFresh, but what we need to point out with this video is that if everything that they said was 100% true, then we all need to get out of SEO and quit right now and go apply at Taco Bell. So are you ready to quit, Carolyn? Are we ready to give up our SEO jobs?
Well, if I believed this, I would in a heartbeat. Either I'm super contrarian or I may know some. I took a look to see like, well, do they rank number one for anything? And so according to SEMrush, this is the list. So first off, okay, well, maybe these are keywords where none of those other publishers are stepping in.
Right.
So I found one I would like to share. And this one is best dehumidifier with pump and drain hose. Probably not a high volume keyword, and I would be right.
But what's really important is they are winning above Best Buy. They are above the spruce.com, which is an extremely authoritative site. They are above Home Depot, Southern Living, Amazon.com. They are above Reddit. They are
No way.
Yep, they are above New York Times. Now, a lot of you Debbie Downers out there in the audience will say, but that's just one keyword. Actually, there were many, not one. We're showing you one for the sake of the video and time.
Yeah. So this kind of like if what they said in the article was absolute and across the whole board, then we would find that in the results. We'd find that in the data. We'd find that they were right and that everybody else, you know, they were hopelessly below everybody else.
Yes.
And all was lost.
So there was a huge ray of light. It is possible to rank above the news sites, to stay at the top of the SERPs, even when Google is favoring big brands.
So as I started digging into this, what we have to bring up is that HouseFresh did this to themselves.
The actions that HouseFresh took on their website, the updates that they made to the website, the changes that they made to the website, caused them to get caught up in the helpful content update.
Agreed. And one of the ways that I look at that is there has to be a change in viewing what we do. We can't continue to do the things that worked 10 years ago.
Even 5 years ago.
Or 5 years or 2 years ago.
Or 2 years ago, or 1 year ago.
Yeah, 6 months, whatever. You know, the fact that it worked in the past is not justification enough to continue to do it now.
I totally agree. If it worked in the past, it doesn't mean it's going to work moving forward. Why is that?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about and find out. It's the willingness to let go of what people think they know about keywords, how to use them, what they actually do.
We either change with Google or we die.
Adapt or die.
So what we used to know, we let go of, and we move forward with the data and the new knowledge that we are gaining every day moving forward. What we're asking you to do is let go of what you used to know and thought was always working to learn the new ways so that you are able to adapt with Google and continue to succeed and be at the top of the SERPs. So are you guys ready to adapt and move forward with Google, or do you need to find another profession? That's the decision you need to make right now before you move forward within this video series.
We're not going to leave everybody stranded and go like, oh, what am I going to do? So we are putting together, this is going to be a series of videos on this very same approach, this change that's necessary. And I really feel like it's our responsibility to, in some ways, remind them that no, the ball is not only in Google's court.
That's right. The ball is actually in our court. This video series will talk about specifically the helpful content update so that you guys are able to understand the platform that you are working on, which is extremely important if you plan to come up with actionable steps to help save your site, your business, and your income. So we are on Substack at Search Driven Insights. You can find it by searchdriveninsights.substack.com. And actually, I will have the direct link in the description of this video.
There's going to be a button when they get there, and it's going to say pledge your support, but we're not asking for them to pledge their support. Just click the button. All you have to do is sign up with your email. And then that way, when we have the next video, then you get an email from us via Substack.
Yes. So if you want to follow the video series, or this video series is important to you, join the email list so that you are notified whenever the next video goes live. So if you guys are wondering what will be in the next video, we are going to begin to pull back the curtain so that all of this isn't as mysterious as it is today.